Hello and welcome to yet another episode of I'm Your Biggest Fan podcast, the podcast that chats to your favourite artists about their favourite artists. I'm your host Jazmin L'Amy in conjunction with the Noizze podcast network, and we're sponsored by the ever wonderful, aptly named Satanic Tico. On today's episode, I've got a little bit of a different one for you. I am chatting with one half of the brothers from Oxymorrons, genre-bending rap rock outfit based out of Queens, New York. To date, Oxymorrons have 2 EPs, 2016's Complex But Basic, 2021's Mohawks and Do-Rags, which, if anyone about to listen will probably point out, my brain decided to say Mohawks and Drugs, which is not the name of the EP. It doesn't even look like that as well. There's one letter missing and the letters are the wrong way around, so apologies. Mohawks and Do-Rags and one full-length album, 2023's Melanin Park. They've also played South by Southwest Festival, Firefly Festival, Afropunk Festival, and if you're based in the UK and you're a fan of Corey Taylor, you would have probably also seen them open up for Corey Taylor on his most recent UK tour. Nevertheless, the band, or I should say artist, that Dave wants to talk about is Pharrell Williams. So I'm not sure how much you were told before this, but the whole premise of this podcast and interview series is basically to I find that in today's day and age with social media and how easy it is for fans to access their favorite bands, they forget that the people they listen to just started out as fans like themselves as well. That really hit home for you there.
Oh my God, I like this. I like this already.
So this is and I feel as well like musicians, especially album after album, tour after tour, you get asked the same questions every album cycle. So this whole podcast is basically just to take you out of the musician mindset and bring you back to when you first got into music and the first band and the first artist that made you freak out and you're like, this is what I want to do with my life.
This is incredible.
So
this is such a good concept. This is my favorite because as a band, that's literally one of the things we always say. We thoroughly enjoy interviews when people take it out of the things, people take us out of that space of anything you can get in our bio. If you can read our bio and you're probably having a conversation with us that we'd probably rather not have. But we do appreciate and we also understand, we love it. But it's just it's hard to have it over and over and over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, the monotony.
You're spot on, you are spot on. Hells yeah.
So I've been told that the artist you want to talk about, and I guess the one that changed your life and the one you would fanboy over, is Pharrell Williams.
Yes, it is. That is my guy.
I'm excited to talk about this because I've done a few of these interviews now and it's all in the mainly rock and metal wheelhouse. But one of the reasons I love doing these interviews is because it's something that will surprise people. It's when you listen to Oxymorrons and then you listen to at least the biggest hits of Pharrell Williams. It's not something you would immediately put 2 and 2 together with. So I want to know, do you remember the first time you heard Pharrell Williams?
Oh, absolutely. The first time I heard Pharrell Williams, I remember there was a song, a very specific song, and it was called Lap Dance. Okay. And that is an N.E.R.D song because N.E.R.D in particular to me is one of my favorite bands. It's inspired me, also my brother in the band. It inspired us in general. How we exist. The idea that we can do what we do came from being able to see that, and particularly from watching that video, that first video that you're talking about. He's just God damn, those dudes are just the coolest dudes in the world, and they're doing everything that you would see because they're from Virginia, but they were doing everything that you would see in an inner city neighborhood, like one of the hoods I grew up in. But it's rock. It's the guitars are thrashing. It's heavy. They're doing. It's all of that. It's skate culture. It's all these things that you wouldn't normally associate with like black hood culture. And so I'm like, oh, this is crazy. I remember watching the video and going, holy shit, what's this? I want to be that. Like whatever this is what this is where it is. This is dope. And creating music, it was always a frame of mine. It's like, all right, he made me believe, and with just real life examples, that music is genreless.
Yeah.
Like you can do whatever you want, because Pharrell, he's an entity in himself that spans across genre. He doesn't live in a genre at all. He's produced some of the biggest hits from pop all the way into anything. Pharrell is your true, like he's another. And we consider ourselves that when we were creating our sound, even though it's heavily rock. If you deep dive, we pretty much do what we want, because that's what it is. If music is subjective, music is sound. I think genre stifles genre, because genre is meant to help people to understand or explain something. I get the premise of that, but at the same time, it's limiting as an artist to say like, hey, because music is all frequency, they're all sound. You put it in a box, that automatically puts it in a space that it should only touch or feel, or is only for a specific kind of person, when in all actuality, frequencies for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting what you said there about one of the things that you gravitated the most towards was the fact that everything he'd been a part of didn't just fit into one genre. And before going into this and doing my research for this, I hold my hands up. I only knew the big songs, Happy, Get Lucky, Bloodlines.
And think of how late you found out.
Right? And so like I had just like his whole discography on shuffle. And there were so many times I had to keep double checking that I was listening to the same artist. Because I was like, this doesn't sound anything like what I just heard. Is my Apple Music fucking me around right now? But no, it was all by Pharrell. I was like, oh, sick.
Yeah, he's under the radar but not. It's weird because Happy made him a household name, which is hilarious because he's had countless number ones even before Happy even existed. I'll give you a fun fact for this conversation that you'll love. That Pharrell has never. He is charted in every format other than rock. Why? Why? Most people don't know. But I did some deep diving and found out why. The why is because songs like Lap Dance, Rockstar, which you probably know, I'm a rock star, and all those songs, they were pushed as R&B.
Right.
Why? Because not back in the day still, because we still have formatting issues ourselves. People tend to think that sound, that's what I mean about genre. The genre box things in a way where sounds can only go in specific places. And also genre, and I want to say genre, people tend to use things like the concept of genre, these musical concepts to throw in their biases. If you pay attention, the music industry has a lot of biases, and we talk about these biases in ways that people don't. Sometimes you won't see it and you won't notice it because they're very subtle. These biases are very subtle. Like for instance, you talk about like you put on your playlist and then you're like, wait a minute, am I listening to the same artist? Like, wait a minute, Pharrell's all over. Like, what is this? The same dude? But think about that. The music he was choosing to make in N.E.R.D was rock. It's just his version of it. But rock did not accept him at all. He hasn't played any of the festivals we played. He hasn't played any of, and we're starting to work with people that's close to his team, and the understanding of a lot of this stuff is just kind of like, wow, to see even for us right now where we charted an active rock. That's an accolade Pharrell doesn't have that I have.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because he's so talented. How is that even? Like, I don't consider myself even a quarter of talented as Pharrell is. And the mere fact he hasn't been there with putting out rock music, the only format, we can't say the only, they tried with Happy because he was told with Happy that it would never work on radio. He said it in a couple of his interviews. Yeah, this is what artists try to speak to people about the business. Like, there's this thing we all love where we create it and we do it, and then there's this business that is operating on a bunch of set of rules that really aren't connected to the fan and the artist at all. Like it's not our experience at all. It's the business's experience. So I always separate that. I'd be like, the business, I'm not too fond of it. Everything else, love it.
Yeah, as in it's interesting you say that, and why I wanted to do this concept as a podcast as well is because my day job, I'm a publicist in rock and metal. So I know exactly what you mean. Like when someone says, "Oh, that won't work on radio," and then it fucking blows up anyway, and I have to be like, "Yeah, that might be my people's fault."
And that's also your personal bias. I think people there needs to be a little bit more, because I don't think there's a job in music that's your personal bias won't be in. Because just realistically, like, we're gonna lean towards what we like. We're people. Like first and foremost, we're people. So those decisions are gonna go in that direction. But we have to be honest and understand that, yeah, you're biased in most of your musical spaces. So when you hold these positions, you kind of got to be wide open as far as like trying to put yourself in a space where you're just enjoying the music and you're extremely open-minded and vast, because just because you may feel like something's not a good fit for something doesn't mean the masses will agree.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who can't differentiate between their personal opinion and thinking
and
outside the box.
Yeah, exactly. Just think outside the box. And I think that's what stifled rock for a little bit, for a long time. It's starting to swing back now because of all of the differences, because of bands like Bring Me the Horizon, and because of bands like Bad Omens and Sleep There, and all these bands that like us who are choosing to not be the conventional, because things have to grow, things have to evolve. Evolution is inevitable. It's part of life. So seeing that rock wasn't, and then now seeing all of these bands that are kind of like, you don't even realize, and I'm not sure you guys know, like Bring Me over here, it's not as revered as it is over there. So it's like, so like we love Bring Me and we fully get it. Like when they were on that tour with Fall Out Boy and Royal and Servant, and we're good friends with Royal, so we go out to the show, and I'm losing my shit because I'm a huge Bring Me fan. Losing my shit, having a blast. Everybody else, our drummer Maddie, even a bigger fan than me, because he was the one to put me on to Bring Me. So we are in a moment. We are having a moment.
Yeah.
Everyone's losing their shit, and guess what? I got out of my little world and realized most people around me were not. And they were in pure Bring Me form. Like they were smashing it. I'm talking about they were losing their shit. To the point, Oli had to jump off stage and do a lap. He's in the crowd, walking through it, getting everybody to kind of like engage, because they just weren't engaging. And it's weird to me because it's like, I don't that's what I mean about the separation of music, where you got a band like Bring Me who's pretty much changing the face of rock music straight up, and they've been doing it for a while. And then they have, I wouldn't say no correlation over here. People are literally like, why are they headlining? Why are they this? Why? They ask these questions about Bring Me, and I'm like, because they headline Upheaval Fest here, and I'm like, what do you mean why are they headlining? Do you know who they are? Are you out of your fucking mind? Like, I have to be like, am I in another universe? Because I'm like, we all have the same tools. We all have the same things. Why do you not know who this man is?
Yeah.
Because they're everywhere. This isn't some small fucking like side band. It's Bring Me.
Yeah, like they just headlined an arena tour over here in the UK. So the company I work for initially were doing press for Bad Omens, who opened for Bring Me on that arena tour.
Yeah. Oh, I know the arena tour. Yeah.
So like I had no idea that they didn't like translate as well overseas.
Yeah, because I didn't know until I went to the show. I was looking around like, is just me? Is just me and Maddie? That's it.
You're like, why is no one else losing their minds?
Yeah, Fall Out Boy came out. Everybody went crazy. I left. I'm not that much of a Fall Out Boy fan. It's no not Pete Winton, those guys. Shout out, Ole. It's just a matter of it just never stuck to me. It was never trash. I've gone to plenty of their shows, but it just never like became a thing that I chased. Anyway, back to Pharrell.
Yes. So before you just mentioned there that you were huge into N.E.R.D. before.
Yes, massive.
So I guess my next question is, because his name means something, like his name as a solo artist means something, but he doesn't have as much solo stuff as he does collaborations or with N.E.R.D. or the Neptunes. So When you heard lap dance and saw lap dance for the first time, what happened after that? Did you go back and try and discover more? How long did it take you to like fully dive
I,
down that rabbit hole?
yeah, we went back and discovered more in search of kind of introduce me to that space and introduce me to who he was. And then deep diving, come to find out like he's been actively why he doesn't have a lot of his stuff because his songwriting and his production took off first. It took off more, a lot quicker. He wrote Rump Shaker for Teddy Riley. Yeah, mind blowing. That record came out like 90, whatever, 92, 90. I don't even know what year in the 90s that record came out. That song came out, but it's one of Teddy Riley's biggest songs. And Teddy's verse in Rump Shaker, Pharrell wrote it. He was 14, 13 at the time, whatever it was. Yeah. Yes, exactly. How does a guy with that level of talent, like it's just, that's why it's always just so mind blowing to me. Everything he does, the records with Snoop, the records with from One Direction. We're talking, he just across genres. There's not many figures in music. Period. Not just genres, music that's more established and successful than Pharrell. I don't really know I don't really know more people who have done more across the board in the way he has. And as you can see, he would be a favorite of the guys who just throw genre out the window, kind of always doing whatever we want to do.
That makes sense now.
So whoever doesn't like us, blame Pharrell.
So after
go ahead.
After you saw the lap dance music video, what happened after that? Did you go back and discover more music? What kind of like year was that? How old were you when that happened?
I can't remember what year was that. I gotta remember. I gotta think. What happened after seeing the lap dance video was me trying to find homes for that. Where I'm from, there's not a scene. There wasn't a scene in particularly in my neighborhood. You have to venture out. I'm from Jamaica, Queens. I'm from Southside Queens, and rock music in general, rock culture isn't as prominent as everything else. My neighborhood made 50 Cent, Nicki Minaj, Waka Flocka. Those are the artists that DMC, who's actually a good homie of mine because he loves our music. That's the legacy that my neighborhood has. So we have a very musical legacy. It just isn't in this space. Right. And so they weren't really finding the scenes, was traveling into Brooklyn, traveling into different spots. Jersey was a really big scene as far as rock music and finding those pockets. So it was, when I saw N.E.R.D, it was try to find that. Where is that close to me? Because I know they're from Virginia. Okay. So I was thinking, okay, where do I get to that? And realistically, it really didn't exist. But we ended up stumbling upon it years ago. And it's funny because to talk about Look Alive has the title of it says Look Alive N.E.R.D, and N.E.R.D on that is one of our fallen brothers. We would not be a band today, period. We would not exist if it wasn't for that guy. So I remember when we meeting N.E.R.D is what gave us that, was what gave me that. As far as being in New York, he was that band Game Rebellion. His band was called Game Rebellion, and they were the first band to play Afropunk. They set all that up. Like that was like a thing. So it was just this. I found my skating rock community in that and in Brooklyn. But that was the search for it was really, really sparked through seeing what Pharrell and those guys were capable of doing and sparking that a curiosity in that and inspiration, to tell you the truth. Just inspiring me to want to be that, like kind of like, all right, cool. There's this idea. I love music. My dad has been playing me everything from Lionel Richie to Billy Joel growing up. Like I listen to everything. My older brother's playing Metallica. There's all this stuff going on. Like I'm getting thrown. Yeah. I got a wild house. There's like Lionel Richie being played in one room. You got Metallica being played over here. Rap stuff over here. Our house was nuts. So it was like, so that's why we are who we are. And so when I seen that video, and then my younger brother, he really loved it. And K.I. is also my brother. Like, that's my brother. K.I. in the band, that's literally same mom, same dad. I don't know if you did your research, but you clearly have, which I love. Yes. I love that, by the way. I love that. Not many do. And we just fell in love with that. We fell in love with the tones. We fell in love with the sounds. We fell in love with the culture, the aesthetic. everything Pharrell was representing, because we could see ourselves in it. And that was the really, really cool part. Like, we were skating, we were in our neighborhood. We were then. Skating wasn't like a massive thing in our neighborhood, but we had massive skaters like Louis Calentino, stuff like that. Like, pro skaters were coming from my neighborhood also. So there was just like this huge, and we were in it all, and kind of like partying, running around, and just kind of like doing this thing. And then it really helped find and construct and kind of structure what years later kind of like became Oxymorrons. Like, when we think about the Oxys now, I really think about how much N.E.R.D influenced us. It's our version. It's like, it's us. Because when you play their music and ours, it's glaringly different. But you can see the influences. You can see that was the one that, because when you're classically learning music, or when you're conventionally is the better word, not classical, conventionally learning music, there's a lot of these rules. These on low ends, high ends need to be in a lot of places, and they broke every single one of them. and so then that's what we did. We broke every single rule, and for so long. So even in the situation we're in now, how things are going well, it's crazy. That's why I said it's crazy, because we were told this would never work. Like, literally to our faces, we've had executives literally tell us Black rock music doesn't sell. It's not commercially viable. So that's why this isn't a thing we would really dive into. I think you guys are creative. I think you guys are great, but this isn't viable. And we had to work through that to be able to be like, all right, cool. It's just our dream and what we want to see. And the stance we took on it was the stance learning from Pharrell and those guys. Creativity comes first. It's all about the art. It's not about the commerce. Give the art out to the world and let the world dictate where it goes. And here we are.
Yeah, absolutely.
So tons of lessons from those guys, or that man in particular, Pharrell.
Yeah. I mean, my usual next question is, like, what was so different about Pharrell Williams and N.E.R.D compared to what you were listening to at the time? Because you've mentioned there that you were subjected to everything from Metallica to Lionel Richie. So you've got these like two massively different genres, and I guess Pharrell and N.E.R.D kind of like, as you said before, like collided those, and you saw yourself and what you were into in that. Was there anything else that stood out about him and N.E.R.D that was completely different to what you're listening to at the time?
The fashion. It was everything. Streetwear culture, is everything. Skate culture, is everything. Inner city culture, and it was all on display in this really, really cool way. Hip hop had its hip hop. It's like when you see because Tyler the Creator is another one of my favorite artists. And when you see obviously he's heavily influenced by Pharrell, but you see okay, Tyler's hip hop, but he's Tyler. There's just like this it's like, this is what I do. Yes, I'm in hip hop, but I'm like nothing else in hip hop. And that's what Pharrell was. Pharrell was like, yeah, I'm here, but trust me, I'm nothing else in here. Like, watching interviews with Jay-Z, I remember there's an interview with Pharrell talking about because they talked about one of Jay-Z's bigger records. Pharrell produced it, and it was early, because the Neptunes were known as the weirdos. They were the weirdos in hip hop production. So N.E.R.D had did this song with Pharrell, and it took off, and it gave N.E.R.D his first and only #1. And at the time, they weren't known. They were just these weirdos from Virginia, and so they tried to get the weirdos from Virginia to do a session with Jay-Z. And Jay-Z was like, I don't know if I want to work with these weird asses. And then come to find out, Pharrell is one of his favorite producers ever. So it's it's all those things, and those kind of things are one of the things that kind of stood out to me, and really okay, this guy's jarringly different. I like from the way you dress, from the way you. Everything about you, his love of Asian culture that we also share a love of. When you see someone who really embodies a lot of the things you naturally gravitate to, you just lean in, and I knew immediately, yeah, that's the guy for sure.
Yeah,
that's who I'm gonna follow for sure.
A lot of people say that the visuals and the aesthetic of things don't matter, but especially. Because I don't know how much older than me you are, but when I first got into music, it was through music videos. There was visuals with the audio.
Same.
And because one of my favorite bands is Guns N' Roses, and the song that changed my life.
You're an MTV baby.
Literally. And the song that changed my life was Welcome to the Jungle. with the music video.
That video's nuts.
If it wasn't for like all the leather and the hairspray, I don't know if that song would have had the same effect on me. So like the visuals are so important still, and the aesthetics.
Yeah, nah, I agree. I think the aesthetics of artists really, really matter. The talent is always there. Some artists, like you see a lot of artists nowadays, really get away with more aesthetic than talent. You know, like they're not that talented, but their aesthetic is so demanding, their aesthetic so polarizing that people gravitate to it. People want to know what it's about. What is this? You know, like that allure. And I think a lot of our legends embody all of it. That I think those are the things that you see, like Bowie. I come to find that people I tend to gravitate to in music tend to venture in all of them. Like, you know, like if I were to give an array, it would be like Bowie, Pharrell, Linkin Park. If you think of what the things that I'm listening to, if I would hit list on my playlist, that's what a playlist of mine would sound like. So it's like, yeah, like and that's what my life kind of mimics. So now that I'm even thinking about it and we're having this conversation and it's actually in the front of my mind, I'm like, holy shit, I didn't realize how much he influenced where I am and what I do.
Yeah.
And I think that's cool.
Absolutely. I wanted to as well, again, go back to when you first heard Lap Dance, because I find, at least for me, the first song I hear of a band or artist tends to always remain my favorite song because it's got that nostalgia linked to it. So is that still your favorite song, or have there been others since then that have overtaken it?
There's been a lot since then, because Seeing Sounds. So my favorite song is Lap Dance. My favorite album from N.E.R.D is Seeing Sounds. I think that came out in 2008. I believe it came out in 2008, and that song is hybrid. That song is that album, if you have a second to listen to it, I promise you'll love it. And that's where they were in 2008. And that's what I mean about, like, I'm just like, musically they were there, and I don't think anybody else was ready. I don't think anyone else was ready to pay attention or ready to see them in that light. I think where N.E.R.D lacked was getting into the scene, honestly, as a band, because bands aren't a thing on my side of the world. So it's like for us, we had to step out and just jump into the scene and be full in it. And we were in scenes and we lived the culture. So we understood it and we understood how to move around it. What are the players? What are the things? Whereas if you don't particularly have that, you won't understand the scene, or you won't even know it exists. That's the craziest part. It's so separated. You won't even know the thing exists. And I think that I don't think N.E.R.D wouldn't have worked in the scene, or I don't think that and particularly it was intentional. I just think that the worlds were so separated that the discovery, there wasn't a lot of moments of discovery. And then also, I don't think anyone took chances. I don't think anyone marketing the thing went and said, hey, let me go talk to Danny Wimmer and see if he likes it. Let me go talk to this person. Let's go. Or for back in their day, let's go talk to Kevin Lyman and try to get him on Warped Tour. Stuff like that, like try to figure those things out, because I do think the kids would have loved it. I think kids would have absolutely gravitated to it, because a lot of people like those songs. And a lot of people like Lap Dance and don't even associate Pharrell to it. A lot of because you've seen it in movies. It's like the movie, like the N.E.R.D songs do extremely well in like movies. But I'm like, but why isn't the band known as a band? It's the craziest thing in the world. Not many bands can have a song with Rihanna and still be not known as a band.
Yeah, that is absolutely wild.
When you think about if we were to drop a song right now with Rihanna, it would go apeshit. Everybody and their mother would be talking about it because it would be so wild. Like, what? No way. It would be so, like, it's like when Spirit Rocks dropped with Meg Thee Stallion. Like, what?
Yeah.
We were very excited about that because, I was like, yeah, let's go. That's great. A lot of the new bands, I just love their stance on things, really trying to change the scene and really trying to get things moving in really, really cool ways. But like, if there's anything we inspire to be, I aspire to have a career like Pharrell's, to where we were genreless. I was able to do a lot of different things and focus in different ways, because for us, it's all about everything. Our aesthetic matters. the live show matters, of videos, everything matters. And we're really into it. I'm into diving back in, and I'm into we like everything we do is with intent. Even when you're seeing on social medias now, the black and white is not by mistake. It's all intentional. The splash of red with the colors, it's all intentional. It's all leading you to something you guys have been being spoon fed this entire time. It's all intentional until the big reveal. And I think that's what you started this interview talking about some of the things that you made this show. The premise of this show is some of the things that we just don't realize. Like artists, it's us getting out of the music frame. Like I'm really not in the make music frame, although we do make music from time to time here. But it's kind of like seeing it different. Being a little different about it, because as artists, we kind of want to showcase a little bit more of who we are outside of the songs we write and the instruments we play and these things. So like, even if you look at our social media, like recently, like we put up a thing about basketball. Basketball is huge in my life.
Yeah.
You know, sports played a huge role in the discipline and consistency and the push that you see able when I'm touring. Like I can get through that because of the things I learned playing sports. It's stuff like that. So it's like putting a lot more personal things out there. I think that's the thing for our year. And that's also what's funny is that's also, he does it in different motives, but that's also something Pharrell really does a lot. He's very humble in the way he speaks, and he speaks candidly about what he feels and the things that he likes. And without fear, one of the things he said years ago was just let the art do what it does. And that's one of the things I've just been trying to live by, like just letting it do what it does. I think we get so wrapped up in the outcomes that we don't even enjoy the moment, enjoying the experience. It's like everybody out at a concert with their phone out. I think they're more worried about telling everyone they were at the concert than actually enjoying the concert. You know, the cool factor comes from, hey, look where I was and you weren't. When the cool factor should be like, oh my God, my favorite band.
Yeah, it's like you want to prove that you were physically there, but not mentally there.
Yeah, it's like I try to be mentally there all the time in shows, and yeah, that's just when this was sent. I believe it was Lee or Steve. I believe it was Steve. Steve had sent this through. Yeah, I believe it was Steve. And when it was sent, I was like, Steve was like, you got one to do, because we don't do a lot. We don't do everything. And I was like, yeah, this seems very, very cool to be able to just talk to music and talk about, be a fan. Like, yeah. I always say that. Like, I'm not, and I tell bands that I'm not afraid to tell you, like, a lot of the time guys are like, so many egos. We're all in these festivals. Yeah. It happens a lot at festivals because we're all kind of like wrangled together now. We're not in our own world, and everybody's got these egos, and I don't have an ego. I'm like, yo, dude, what's up? Or like, yo, I've never met you. I don't know you, but yo, I love your band. Like talking to Caleb from Beartooth the first time was kind of like that. Like loved growing up, loved listening to Beartooth. Beartooth is fucking dope. And so when we played Sonic Temple Fest, Caleb's right here. I'm like, what the fuck? You know, it's kind of like, and it was cool because we had a moment of like, oh no, I like you guys too. I've seen your names on a lot of festivals, so I checked it out. You guys have played a lot of stuff, and I like your stuff's cool. It's unique. So we spent some time kicking it together.
Oh, I love that.
We don't say we watched Tool together that day, and it was all, and it's just cool, and it's just like it just having these moments to just be regular people. Hey, yeah. I'm a fan, like literally, I had your song on repeat, like and stuff like that, and I'm like, no. I hope this doesn't take you back, but that's who I am. I've always been like that. Every artist that we've gotten to tour with that I've been a fan of, I've told them that I've always been a fan. I don't shy. I'm like, nah, because that's just real. So, I've met Pharrell twice.
We will get onto that soon. I'm excited to hear that because that was going to be one of my questions. But I want to know. So Oxymorrons, correct me if I'm wrong, have 2 EPs, 2016's Complex But Basic, 2021's Mohawks and Drugs, and 1 full-length album, 2023's Melanin Park, which is fucking sick, by the way. Speaking of telling people that you love their music, I love that album.
Thank you, Melanin Park.
But
love that album.
In the past, you have been told that you were too hip-hop for rock and too rock for hip-hop, and that age-old narrative. So how has your love of Pharrell Williams, I know we've talked about it's influenced you in terms of like being able to cross that genre and like not give a fuck about what it is you write and having it to fit in a box, But in terms of like vocal influence as well, and how has that changed over time from when you started writing music to how you write music now? It's a lot of
You're
questions.
good. You're really good though. The questions are great. It's funny how you say that, right? So Pharrell, my younger brother, like K.I. in the band, we've never taken singing lessons. Up until things started moving with Oxys. We kind of have these natural abilities to do the things that we do in certain spaces. And I remember there was an interview with Pharrell, and he had said, everyone has a singing voice, you just have to find it. Every single person, like, and then he told the story about Ray Charles and how we all know Ray Charles' voice and but he's not he doesn't sing the way that you would think a singer sings. Oh, he doesn't do any of that because everyone has different tone ranges and octaves. And he was just like, so people, when Ray Charles was figuring out starting to sing, people didn't think he could sing because they wanted him to sound and sing like other artists from his time. And after that, he actually had his own unique voice. And then it becomes what we all know now. If you hear Ray Charles, how the hell do you even say he can't sing? It's kind of nuts. But that was it. And then so fast forward, he's having that interview. He says this statement, and it just stuck to me. And I remember at the time I wasn't venturing into like playing with my voice too much, playing with different tones and things like that. I was just like, and I remember my brother had came home and he was singing in tones. I was very impressed. And I was like, holy shit, how are you doing this? He was like, dude, I was just like, remember when Pharrell said, like, yo, everybody got their voice, so I was just focusing on just singing comfortably and making it sound good. And I was like, oh, that's different. Fast forward, tried that, and oh, holy shit, I found out that I can do a lot more than just sing. I can do a lot more. So then that turned into from just rapping to doing stuff melodically to really starting to sing, especially and that came out a lot on Melanin Punk. I sang on Melanin Punk more than I've sang on any project we've done. And that was through the whole Pharrell stuff, like literally. And now I'm sitting here, and if you think about it, from first being inspired to right now, his ability to change his tone, his ability to do all these things on records. I always wanted to do that, and I was always inspired by that. Like even like Missy Elliott was also somebody who inspired me a lot. Like my entire flow for Look Alive is her. I literally I said, what would Missy do? and then went into it. So if you listen to the second verse now and listen to it with Missy's voice in your mind, you'll be like, "Oh shit, you'll catch it." I have people.
I'm not gonna be able to unhear it.
Yeah, after I tell people that, I had people come back to me like, "Yo, I can't hear her voice now." I'm like, "Yeah, trust me, I used her entire flow." And so with that, with N.E.R.D and P, it made me feel like, all right, I can do anything I want, and that led me into screaming. And all of this, like literally, and obviously screaming damaged my voice in the beginning because I had vocal cord surgery. I couldn't speak for a month. That stuff. Then I got 2 years ago, I got with Melissa Krause. She taught me how to really do this and do it where I'm not damaging myself. And boom, now so I got that. And it's just like, but all of that, everything that I've chosen to learn was inspired seeing that, oh yeah, I can do that because, oh, if P did it, why not? And that also started because that lap dance video, the neighborhood looked like Queens. The whole thing, it was like it was just like I literally you take Pharrell off the bike, and they were riding bicycles. He was on a BMX bike, and I like BMX bikes, so they were on pegs. That's what we were doing. So for seeing him go from not singing as much, like his solo career is very singing. He sings a lot, like those falsettos he hits, those little things that he does. Pharrell learned that. You know, he wasn't original. That skill set wasn't there. He learned how to do that. That the minute I saw that, I was like, wait a minute. And then it reminded me. Yeah, he kept saying like, yo, like any of these things can just be done. Like you can learn it all. You can have a singing voice. Everyone has a singing voice. You just gotta find it. So I was like, all right, cool. Started to find it. So when I was learning how to scream, I was like, oh, I just have to find it. I had that same state of mind, and Melissa was telling me, hey, remember, it's not about your throat at all. It's all from the dead. Don't even think about these things. And it's not about, what was it? One of the biggest things she said that really turned it over for me, especially with screaming, was it's not about volume. It's about tone. Mm-hmm. The mic does the job for you, volume. So stop blowing your voice out. Don't worry about volume, but let the mic do its job. And so that, yeah, because when you're performing it, you're kind of in it and you're gone, and yeah, so you're doing way too much. And so learning, being in those spaces, I remember being in those spaces, and he was, when it would get tough or it would get like annoying is the better word than tough, because it's not really tough, it's just annoying. I would lean into that statement and remember, like, all right, you just gotta find it. You just haven't found it yet. You just haven't found it. You just haven't found it yet. And then I found it. I want to singing anything in kind of like a little bit of a higher falsetto or a little bit higher of a register. The first time I really did it was Graveyard Words. No, actually, I take that back. The second half of the definition. We're about to take it to it. That's me. And that was the first time I had the ball. I actually recorded that. I was like, no, I didn't want it to come out.
Like, this is for me and for me only.
Yeah, and then everybody like loved the song, and I was like, no. If you pay attention, and I'm ousting myself right now to whoever hears this or watches this. If you pay attention during the live set, before that part, just pay attention to me. You'll watch me kind of circle a little bit and move in the ways I don't normally move, even though I'm not the one singing at all. Right before I have to sing that part, because I'm getting myself ready. I'm literally like, okay, you're not gonna sound like an idiot. You're not gonna sound like an idiot. They love you. They love this song. This is out. Don't feel about this song in public the way you feel about it in private. That's rather, and then it's like, and then you get forced because it's happening. You're there. It's happening. The Jaffe singing the first song, "Can't Define Me, I Am One," and he's just singing, and I know when he gets that, "Don't try me again," I know we're about to take it to it. I have to do that, and it's coming. And here we go, and I'm going through this like anxiety-ridden thing, and boom, and I do that 3 times because we do the chorus 3 times.
You make your bed, you gotta lie in it.
Exactly. So when I'm performing definition, it looks like I'm great. Inside, I'm dying. I'm so nervous because I'm always afraid of the day where I can't hit that and I crack.
Happens to everyone though, and if that does happen, you know that your audience is gonna help you along the way anyway. That's
the beauty of the community. Straight up. Other than when you find a couple of hecklers, but that's normal. Especially in the UK, yo, UK hecklers are elite versus American hecklers.
Really?
Yes. UK hecklers, y'all are relentless. Yeah, I had one at the corner during the Corey Taylor tour. I was like, oh my God, 4th song in, he is relentless. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to address him because you are relentless. And now I'm getting mad. Yeah. So we addressed it and kept it moving. The shows were incredible, but like I said, there's always one.
There's always one. I'm so gutted. I missed you guys on that tour. I'm really good mates with Steve, and he dropped me a message being like, hey, I might have a +1 for Oxymorrons and Corey Taylor, and then just didn't get back to me. And then the show passed, and I was like, I take it you didn't have that +1 then?
Oh no. Well, if I would have known, I would have got you in.
Okay, next time.
You won't have those problems anymore, at least with our shows, because that's easy breezy. And he could have let us know. Oh, and then it's probably because that show was kind of nuts, and he really guest list. Whenever we come to London, guest list is ridiculous. Guest list is just nuts.
Trust me, I know. I do guest lists for bands. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I keep forgetting. Yes, you know what this is. It gets ridiculous, and like I just want.
I'm like, no, you can't have 3 +1s.
Yeah, no, and the people really don't understand that. When I like tell families a lot better at it now. And close friends, but I try to tell people, like, I don't really realize I can't give every single person a guest list spot, and I can't give every single person all access. Like,
that's not how it works.
Yes. Do we want the entire venue backstage? Is this what we're like? Think about what we're talking about. I'm like, and also, it's not as cool backstage as y'all think it is. We just be chilling.
Yeah.
We're just waiting for the show. It's quite boring a lot of the times. Like, the problem is every band always posts that the times where it is fun. So now you assume that that's how it is all the time. No, it's not. Like, a lot of the times it's this. Wait. Trying to get something to eat? Yeah. Did you hear it? Did you hear the such and such album yet? Nah, not really. Oh shit, bro, I forgot my thing at the hotel. Damn. Yo, what time is sound check? Yo, do we line check today? Yo, you got my in-ears?
Every single day, yeah.
So if that's what you guys are dying to be a part of, nah. Trust me, you're gonna get there and be totally disappointed. You're gonna be so upset. You're gonna be like, I waited all this time for this.
I come backstage for the free water. That's it.
Yo, free water, free. See, at least you know what's going on. There's a lot of free stuff backstage, food wise. Well, depending on what tour you're on, though, because that can get ugly too. That can work out in not cool ways.
That's very true. But speaking of live shows, I read that like Pharrell Williams, at least for his solo stuff, has only really done one full-blown tour in 2014. Have you, I know you said you've met him twice, we'll get on to that. Have you ever seen him perform live before?
Ooh! Remember I said I met him?
Mm-hmm. Go on.
Here we go. So I forgot what year this was, but Jimmy Fallon was doing the Roots just started doing their residency there. Mm-hmm. And they just started and they were doing these shows, these really fucking, I'm talking about the coolest shows ever. They were $10. You either could get a ticket or then, and it was the Roots playing. It was $10, and there was always special guests. Always, not maybe, not absolutely, positively, always a special guest. It was a dope deal, and always a special guest. And the show I got tickets for, which was the best $10 ever spent in my whole fucking life, was N.E.R.D happened to be on the bill. Pharrell was on the bill, and Erykah Badu and Common.
Right, yeah.
But they never. But the thing is, they don't announce this. You don't know this.
This was just a fluke.
They don't announce any of this. It's just the Roots. I'm coming in, just seeing the Roots. You have no clue who the guests are. No, you have nothing. Or even some shows, they don't bring guests out. You don't know. It's always in the air.
Yeah.
We go, and I was like, I'm front row. I just got there early. It wasn't even because I'm not thinking about N.E.R.D. I'm not thinking about anything. Mm-hmm. I'm just chilling. And first up, oh my God, N.E.R.D. Yo, they were losing their minds. And then they had this thing where they were bringing people on stage. And I got selected, and I came on stage, and me and Pharrell got to do the rage out together. We
so you've been on the same stage.
Yo, look, yeah, like this. We'll never forget it. We'll never forget it. Like that was like one of my fondest memories. He gave me dab. He said, "Great rocking out," and we got on stage. Boom. And that was also the only time I've ever seen N.E.R.D live.
Okay. What a time as well, getting on stage with them.
I was like, if there was ever a fan experience to have for your first time, I got the meet and greet and all of that. I didn't have to pay for none of that.
For $10.
And at that 10, if you would have told me that was going to be the experience, I would have paid $1,000. I would have tried to sell everything I own for that experience. And I got that for $10. It was incredible.
Imagine that you just you woke up that morning having no idea what was going to happen that day, and then next thing you're on stage with your musical hero.
Yeah. In New York at Highline Ballroom, I'll never forget it. Highline Ballroom. It's no longer a venue anymore. That closed down, but the memory is still here.
Absolutely.
I got the rock out, and then afterwards, then Erykah Badu came out. Colin came to the freestyle. And then the Roots just destroyed it. Kenny G came out. Those dudes are like that whole show was crazy. And yeah, I'll never forget that. So that was the first time I saw the first and only time I've ever seen N.E.R.D. because they don't tour much. Although there's rumors circling around that they might be touring soon. And now that we are, I'm not in the same place now. When I first met Pharrell, there's not an artist doing touring.
Now you've got them connections.
Now I have an agent and teams. We're going after it. If it even smells like there's a tour going on, we're going after it.
Absolutely.
So we're gonna try to do that, and so yeah, you just made me think about that. That's what's happening right now. I'm on stage still in my mind. Like, I remember that. That was awesome.
So was that the first time you'd met him? Did you get to meet him properly after that, or was it just?
Yes. The next time I met him, this one was really, really cool. We were kind of like in the mix now, doing what we're doing, and they used to have these fashion night out is like fashion week out, like fashion week, like the actual fashion week.
Mhm.
That's like a big thing in New York. It's like it's like parties everywhere, all that crazy stuff. And so BBC, Billionaires Boys Club, because I know BBC means something different to you.
Yeah, I was like, where's this going?
You're like, wait, what are we doing with this? I had to catch that. I was like, yeah, Billionaires Boys Club, because BBC's, that's very normal to say that here.
Right.
And then it'll point to Pharrell's brand, but I was like, no, that's their network. So Billionaires Boys Club, we're having a fashion night out event, and we got guest listed to it. We ended up going, and a shout out to what's his name? Oh my God, Mark the Jesus, who with the Gym Class Heroes. He's like Mark. That was like one of the first dudes. He's Mark is how we got introduced to Travis.
Okay.
Mark is my guy. Like Mark is, and why did I even mention Mark? I think that's because he had something to do with. Fuck, I lost it now. That made me think of Mark, and in our first tour with Gym Class. That was fucking awesome. Damn, where was I? What was the last thing I said?
Fashion Week.
That's why I was telling the Fashion Week story. Okay, yeah. And he would have these events, and we ended up getting guest listed for it. Mark helped out. That's why I brought it. We got a guest list for it, and we're in. And I didn't realize like how intimate this thing is, because you go in a BBC store. Not shop at the store, another store, but it's just a store. And there's this massive line outside. Like this, it's really, I'm talking about the whole Soho just flooded. It's nuts. And we walk into this place, and it's like 40 people, 50, maybe 40, 50 people in there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's wild because you go upstairs, and we're friends. We're really good friends with Jack. Her name is Jazmin. She's Hype Williams' niece. Her name is Jazmin Williams. She shoots videos. She shoots some stuff for us sometimes too. And I remember her. This is how we met for her, because we got into the event, and he was upstairs in the VIP section. Obviously, we are not VIP. We are downstairs with the underlings, as we should be, but Jazmin is VIP. Pharrell and Hype, her uncle, shoots videos all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But now, she wasn't sure if P would remember her because she was so young when she used to be on set with him. I'm like, that's crazy. She was like, I'm not sure he's gonna remember me, but if P see me, we're good. And I was like, oh wow, that's crazy. And he saw her. He's like, oh shit, Jazmin. Now we're upstairs.
Fuck yeah.
It's crazy. Like, woo, let's go. So now we're upstairs, and no lie, kid. When I say kid, that's short. That's K.I., my brother in the band, K.I. We call him Kid because it's just an abbreviation of his actual tag name that we call him Kid because he's a big kid. We like to call him Kid, and then it just got shortened to K.I. at some point. I don't remember when and why, but it went from Kid to K.I., but I still say Kid because I've been saying that my entire life, so it slips a lot. But yeah, so we were Kid, and Kid was talking to him first.
Right.
I go up. I like turn. I'm talking about, I don't know how quickly this happened. I like turned, got a drink, turned around, and he's talking about I missed this. No. And they're just chopping it up there on the other side. And P, and I was like, yo, what'd you say? What'd y'all talk about? What'd y'all do? He's like, yo, I just told him that like we were in a rock band, and like he really and that we were starting. Because we weren't this at all. This was Oxymorrons was the conceptual idea that was happening. And we were doing it, and he had told P that, and he was like, yo, if you give him words of encouragement, I'm like, yo, really push it, really work hard, all these other things. And then boom, so that the party kind of shifts, and we get pushed into this section with Jazmin, Pharrell, and Dame. And that's when me and P have a conversation.
What do you guys talk about?
And then nothing crazy. It was just like, yo, I was just telling him I'm a fan of his work, everything he's done, how awesome he is. And he's like, thank you. He was really mad chill about it. And I was like, hey, you spoke to my brother earlier. That's my brother. We're in a band together, yada, yada, yada. And then he was like, oh, wow, that's crazy. Da, da, da. And then, but the thing out of that entire experience that I can't wait, because I know this is gonna come full circle soon because of a few things I can't talk about right now on this. I wish I could. Maybe off thing. I can give out some information off the record. Yeah, that's what it is. Off the record, I can give you some. But the last thing that was said to him, like when we were leaving, I remember we all were leaving, like, "Oh, we're out." And I remember my brother turned on. Remember, our band name is Oxymorrons, and you probably when Kid goes, our band name is Oxymorrons. Remember that. You probably won't, but we'll get to you soon.
What a way to exit.
And because that's just how we are. And I remember that night going, okay, we're only a couple of degrees of separation. Mm-hmm. And moments like that, that's living in New York. Moments like that are very inspiring and I guess I don't know, like energizing in music and in the push, because it just gives you and they happen a lot in New York where you get to like kind of be around the people you look up to, and you get to see them in action, or you get to meet them, and there's these cool experiences that kind of uplift you and make you even go harder in the things and the spaces that you're in. So it's been like that experience alone. I'll never forget that. With that, I think we have a photo of the handshake and everything.
Oh, I love that.
So I'm definitely gonna show him the photo, like, and because I'm pretty sure we'll be in each other's presence, and I want to show him that stuff. I want to like connect those dots and be like, yo, like, see, we told you we'd be here. We told you years ago you would run into us, and here we are in a completely different capacity.
Imagine if he produces your second record. That would be sick.
Yes,
all right,
it would.
I'm gonna take.
It would be unbelievably over the fucking chart sick.
Mm-hmm. I've got my fingers crossed for you. But speaking of collaborations, Pharrell is obviously known for doing quite a lot of collaborations and vocal features. Obviously, besides yourselves, out of all the people he's collaborated with, who has been your favorite, and who would you like to see him collaborate with next?
Oh, my favorite collab. Shit, damn, that's a hard one.
It's a loaded question.
He's collaborated with so many people, so many artists that I like too. Like, I love this. I'm thinking of all the songs, but I'm like, all right, what could one of my favorite two songs. Okay, this is actually a good question, and I'm like, that's cool. All right, I think I've narrowed it down to two, and I don't know how to put one in front of the other, because they both kind of are like really, really important as far as his discography to me. And one is a song he wrote and produced for Michael Jackson.
Okay, yeah.
But it ended up going to Justin Timberlake. That whole Justified album is the entire thing that made Justin Timberlake's solo career was written by Pharrell. Pharrell wrote pretty much most of that album, but he wrote it for Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
But Justin ended up getting all the songs, and they did the renditions, and they crushed it. But it's really, really cool. So those two, between I Just Want to Love You, which is the song that the song from that album that I'm talking about. I Just Want to Love You. Either that record or Snoop and Beautiful.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, like it's kind of like, they do different things, but I love those songs, and I love them for particular reasons. I Just Want to Love You is because it does showcase Pharrell's talents in different ways. Both of the songs, like that's acoustic. Like I was like, what? He's killing this acoustic, and the way it's produced it was awesome. It was kind of like R&B with an acoustic guitar finding pop. I was like, oh shit, that's crazy. And then Beautiful, you got Snoop and him in Brazil, the video. See, here's where the visual also plays a role, because I'll never forget that video. It was like, beautiful woman everywhere. It was like, oh, they were on the steps.
Yeah.
and they were just singing. I fucking love those two songs, and it's just like, oh my god. So if I had to pick two of my favorite as far as it being put on the spot like this, oh, I think being put on the spot like this, yeah, those would be mine. I could change the answer to this with more thought, but with off of first man, I'll pick two, and those would be that. And if I absolutely had to pick one, it would be I Just Want to Love You, because of that acoustic guitar.
Yeah, I love when acoustic guitars get added to stuff.
Acoustic guitars, no, like if you do it right, most songs on acoustic guitar are incredible. Like there's one song Lil Wayne has on acoustic that literally I love it, and it's How to Love. It's called How to Love. Yo, probably one of the most beautiful songs Lil Wayne's ever had.
They just hit differently.
Yo, hit mad differently. Like, yo, I love that record. So I really, come to find, I'm a sucker for acoustic guitar and classical piano.
Hell yeah, I can
most
agree
people
with that.
wouldn't think that based on the music we make, but I am a sucker for those two things.
And if you had to put him with someone new to collaborate, who would you think he would smash it with?
To tell you the truth, I think he would smash it with anyone he's in the room with. But I think what would be very interesting is to take him out of his world, take him out of his comfort zone. I think and I think P would enjoy that. It's something we've talked about. Like if we had the ability to put people in a room together as a band, because we break so many rules. Who we put, and realistically, it would be Bad Omens. It would be very, very interesting to see what, because of the way their strong musical abilities and the way they go about what they do, and Noah having the range from screaming to that really beautiful falsetto. I'm thinking like, you put P in a room with them, what would that be like? Because P doesn't, he's not metal. So you know the song is gonna, and they're gonna have some twists and some things. So you know the song's gonna have some shit. So if I was gonna do that, that's one of the collaborations that literally not only like it's a dream collab, but I want to make that happen. Well, like that's a goal also. Yeah, that's why it's funny you asked that question, because I'm like, that's off-air goal.
I can hear that as well. Like before you said it, obviously a lot of people would never put those two things together. But once you think about it, you're like, oh shit, that would be sick as fuck. And that would work.
Exactly, because it's just unconventional. But when you think about the skill sets of the two, it's like, yeah, you did go. Actually, I'd love to hear what that would sound like. Like, what would that actually sound like? And I think that would be incredible. I'd put him in with somebody like that, because it's jarring. It's really, really different. It's really unique. And as Oxys, per our name and what we do, we tend to lean in that space. Just always want, because I love it. Like even when like how the walls of genre is breaking down in music, I feel like as the years progress, we're going to get some of the best music we've ever had because of that. Because you're not giving musicians rules before they even create.
Yeah.
That's what genres do. Genres give you rules before you create. So you're not really creating freely at all once you're in the genre. Once you say, I am a metal band, you've officially put your creativity in one space.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
that's not what creativity should be.
No, and I always tell guys in metal bands, like even classical, traditional metal bands, I like to use the word traditional better, because we're not a traditional band in that space. I always tell them, like, dudes, like, you're still metal if you play with other sounds and tones, because they're just instruments.
Yep.
You put like the essence of metal is not just the sound; it's the people, the energy, the community, the culture that's behind it. It's not just drop D and like that's not what it like. It's more than that. And to pigeonhole it as that, guys, like it actually, you doing yourself a disservice, because then the world sees you how you paint it. Mm-hmm. So the world sees metal as only that because that's how you paint it. But if you paint metal with a broad brush, like Bring Me is doing, yeah, it can be anything it wants. We can all be anything we want. And then also, you can't complain about Bring Me's commercial success. Their commercial success comes from the fact that they're considerate of other audiences, which is helping them grow in other spaces, because they did hit the ceiling in metal. It's not a big ceiling. you can hit it. And they hit it and they decided, hey, we're going to expand it. And not only now that they expand it, and in that expansion, they brought people who don't normally listen to metal in and are trying other bands. That's how a community builds, grows, and expands. And I just think that a lot of the gatekeepers in this space, I wish and I hope that they start to see it that way and start to look at artists like Pharrell, look at these artists who just have lived their lives outside of a box in general, and just understand that humans were not meant to live inside boxes. Anything, you cage anything, it stifles it. It doesn't matter what it is. Plants, no, you name it. You put anything inside 4 square walls, gate, whatever you want to call it, it'll stifle it for sure. And that's what's been happening.
Yeah, absolutely. Going back there to like hitting a ceiling and instead of staying there, expanding. This is the point in the interview where I usually ask about band merch, but I've also found out that Pharrell has been involved with a lot of clothing designs and fashion brands, including collaborations with Adidas, Chanel, and Louis Vuitton, and other names that I will not try and pronounce. So
I'm with you. You're not alone.
They're all French.
You are not alone. That man has too much style. Maybe that's also why he didn't get in. He's too stylish. he was just making everybody look bad. Like, come on, man. I can't look like that and perform, man.
So my question is, do you own any Pharrell branded clothing or want to, or any of his club?
Yeah, absolutely. Set It Off tour. Actually, Neck Deep tour. I won a crucial part of my outfit for that tour was an ice cream. It was like this fur ice cream. Oh my God, why am I have the end of my mind, but I'm losing the actual name of the item of clothing, the type of clothing it is. Oh my God. Sweater, bunch of buttons, V-neck. Oh my God.
Oh, like a cardigan?
There you go. I call those brain farts. I'm having a brain fart. So that cardigan, it was ice cream. That's Pharrell's brand. I wear a lot of his clothing. Actually, I wear a lot of his brand. My current messenger bag is Human Made, which is him. Him and Nigo makes this brand, and this brand is like sort of niche. It's known amongst tastemakers and cool shit, but not known to the masses like that. It's more of a smaller brand. But that brand, I'm really into that. I actually wore a Human Made t-shirt in the cover shoot that we got dropping this month for, I forgot what magazine, but it's from the UK that we got dropping this month. Nah, it's not Kerrang. I would have remembered Kerrang. I forgot what it was
Sounds?
called. Maybe.
One of those. I'll be one of those.
I don't know. We'll figure it out. Whatever. But yeah, but Human Made. So when it comes to that in particular, obviously he has BBC. I like a lot of stuff, and obviously what he's doing with Louis Vuitton is nuts right now. It's really awesome. He's got some really cool pieces, but I can't afford none of it, so it doesn't even matter. I just watch from afar. Because he made this cool little piece. It's like a lunch bag. It looks like a lunch bag. Literally, imagine of the paper lunch bag, but he made the same design, but he made it out of brown leather. It's really cool. It folds. It's so beautiful. $3,000. I was like,
oh my God. For a lunch
I was like, I'll just be staring at this online. That's what I'll be doing. I'll just be staring at this online. This is cool. I would love to have that, but that's out of my tax bracket. $3,000 for a lunch bag? Nah, not having it.
If that's how much the bag costs, how much does the lunch cost?
I don't even think it come with lunch. It's just the bag.
Lunch not included.
If it came with like lunch for a year, free lunch for a year, all right, at least I could abuse it and get up to $3,000 worth of lunch and figure it out. But I love his clothing though, and Human Made in general. And that's another thing you'll see. What we do, we tend to we don't dress like your typical rocker either. That's the whole thing. I feel like sometimes rock falls into a costume. I think aesthetically it works. I think aesthetically people tend to associate particular things with rockers, and when they don't see those particular visual things, they assume that you are not. And we get that all the time. Yeah, so with clothing, a lot of the times we're wearing the brands we just like. And people have to also understand that the style and imagery rock gets or whatever it is. It's just those styles and those images come from the bands just being themselves. Those bands didn't dress like that because it was rock. They were just dressing like that. Rock jeans, ripped jeans became a thing because they just wore them out literally. Like literally wore them out. So I'm like, why do people feel like I don't think you have to look apart. I think you have to be apart, live apart, and have the essence. Not particularly look like a rocker. You're a traditional rocker. So for the question with clothing and brands and all that stuff, yeah, a lot of our clothing maybe we're worn in rock format or rock style or whatever you want to call it. But a lot of it is hip hop brands. A lot of them are streetwear brands, to be specific. And that's what we love. K.I. in the band, my brother, we call him Fabio. He's the high fashion guy. Like Kid is like he dresses a lot of us. He styles a lot of this cool shit that you see. Especially when we're doing photo shoots. That's like his thing. So we follow his direction. And so yeah, I love a lot of fashion stuff. I do. When it comes to merchandise, I design our merch. I do a lot of our merch designs. From the flower to all that. Eduardo did the Mel and the character you saw throughout the Mohawks and Do-Rags and all that other stuff, and throughout the rollout, he kind of created those characters. And then, but as far as physical merch, I've designed all of it. Every single piece that's come out, I've designed it. So that's another hat I learned to wear, which was out of necessity though. I try to tell people I don't do this stuff. It becomes fun and cool, but at first it was because I got tired. We just couldn't afford to play graphic designers.
Yeah.
When you're starting out, like you ain't got it like that. Yeah, graphic designers ain't cheap, man. So I spent years learning how to do it. So now, not only do I know how to do that, I have a skill set that also helps me with passive income. So, yeah, I do designs all the time. I do designs for people all the time. I build decks, all these crazy things. And it's just, I'm trying to be a Swiss Army knife. And that man is the Swiss Army knife of all Swiss Army knives. So I'd love to be able, we would love for one day, not really one day, what we're planning on, and like literally moving on, because we kind of like build, and this is how we're able to hit our accolades. We just kind of build a year full of milestones. So we can, it's like short but attainable goals that add up to a massive splash. That's what we do. That's how, instead of like trying to go after the mountain just from jump, we go, all right, let's just get on a scooter and let's ride there and stop along the way. Yeah. It's a little smarter,
it's
a lot more cost effective.
Good way of doing it.
Yeah, and so with that, hopefully one day we'll be able to. We're gearing towards and pushing to having our own brand, because that's what it is. Fashion is something that's embedded in the band. Clothing and understanding brands is something that's embedded in the band. I used to be a buyer for Carmel. I used to do a lot of stuff with streetwear. I really do understand it. So yeah, that in those kind of spaces, that's where we do have the knowledge. We're just now building the infrastructure to actually do it that way. So when we start to, and you'll see it too, when you see our social releases of this year, you go, oh, that's what he was talking about. Yeah. And you'll see it, because a lot of that stuff is just in the works. And one of the things, and I wish whoever hears this, other artists hear this, do not listen to this this era of you got to be constantly on. Slow down, take your time, quality over quantity. I promise you, it'll in the long run, and you may not feel it in the moment, but that changes everything. Like literally, like even a band like think about a band like Bad Omens, even that switch flipped in 2 years for them. Yeah. Like they made that project and they were a different band a year later, like complete in a whole other world. And it was them choosing to sit in that project. Me and Noah talk all the time, and then they made the conscious decision to make something that they wanted to make. They were not gonna sound like anyone else, and they said, and it was just about the art, and they gave the art to the world, and boom, click, boom, and it just happened. So, and even like for us, when we decided we weren't gonna pay any more attention to the nonsense, we weren't gonna only play the industry game. We weren't gonna listen to people telling us we were too rock or too this. We were just gonna create what we were gonna create, and we're gonna let the people and the fans dictate where it goes. And that changed everything. And a guy named Jason Alvaro. and Kiss, that's one of the things. Like also, we're as a band, we're not afraid to give credit to those who helped us. Like I go, N.E.R.D, we wouldn't have been here without N.E.R D, and it's the same thing with Jason. Like we're not on Rex anymore, and we're making moves and we're doing what we got to do. But like wholeheartedly, and I say this with all my heart, It's been a little bit since I've had a chance to speak to Jason, but like literally, like there's no Oxys, even especially this rendition without Jason. Like because he opened the door, no one was paying attention, and this is one of the things I want to scream at and be like, "Yo, A&Rs, all the actors, labels, all this shit, we're all here. Think about it. You found out about bands like us, the Nova Twins, because of Jason. And it's not that we're not. It's not that no one's pushing. We had management. We had all these things. They weren't signing us.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. Like they just literally were not signing us. So, and we were told we're not viable. So to have labels in the active rock space tell us for years that we're not viable, and now we're sitting number 27 on Billboard. So sorry, 28 on Billboard for it. It's like, yeah, I don't know what y'all talking about.
Off the back of Pharrell Williams having his own clothing brands and designing his own stuff, does his designs of things have an influence on that side of stuff for you as well?
Not really. I wouldn't say it has an. I think he has an influence on overall a lot of the things I do creatively, but I don't think in particular. Like I think it does influence. Like I can't say not. I just want to know. It just doesn't mimic. I don't really think about Pharrell's clothing brands when I'm creating Oxymorrons merch. I'm more figuring out how our brand can what we're giving can speak to the people and how they connect with it. Really, and how it's telling our story. I don't really think too much of. Obviously, I take insight on how he went about the brands. Like I read the books, the stories. Like I have his book. And I read his stories about like how he goes about the things he goes about. And one of his favorite things is movie scoring, which is wild because within this process of our new project, which damn, I just slipped. In this process of our new stuff, we're exploring a lot of that and how the visual connects with the sonics without even words. That's the kind of like the things that you're seeing on our social media now. So. Yeah, I don't think I normally think of him a lot when I'm creating those, but he does have an influence, I would say, per se. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Because the way I think about streetwear, and if I think about the brands that I love in streetwear and the ones I tend to connect with, P's eyes on that, but also you can't give P all the credit because and P says it himself, a lot of his stuff comes from Nigo. Nigo's like really, if you do your research on Nigo, he's the mastermind behind a lot of the brands. He's partnered with pretty much every single brand Pharrell has created. Nigo has been part of every single one, and Nigo's normally the dude that's kind of like moving the feast.
Not quite in the forefront, but always there in the background.
Oh no, he's in the forefront. You're just if I said that name Nigo to somebody that's not in the scene, and they're on the other side with that other side I was talking about, they would light up. That's what I mean about the worlds not being connected. It's like I walk in on my side and say, "Bring me the horizon," everybody like so.
Yeah,
right? You know, and then I say it over here, and y'all all get it. Like, yeah, hell's yeah, exactly. It's kind of like that. And what we're trying to do as a band, have those two worlds just collide because so many of these things we all love. Like it's so funny. Like talking to actual metalheads, being in the space. I'm like, do you know how much in common you have with hip hop dudes, but you won't jump that line because you have these biases that you assume should exist when they don't. Like hip hop, like all of these worlds, there's so many similarities, and the metalheads who we do get to speak to, and the ones who do just connect and are just being regular people, that aren't basing everything onto their music taste. Realize that they're like, holy shit, I didn't know, and I'm like, yeah, I'm like, yeah, it's kind of some of the stuff that I've been learning, like. I've had biases assuming that people in metal was going to be a particular way. Like it has been a lot less racist than I expected it to be.
Well, that is good.
No, because what I was prepared for in my mind mentally, I did not. I haven't fully experienced. We experience a lot in different ways. Like I won't put a Band-Aid. I can put a Band-Aid on it. I won't. The problem still needs stitching, but there is a Band-Aid there. Absolutely, it's not as nuts as it used to be, especially because we get the stories from dudes like Vernon Reid and like those dudes were in rock bands in a different era. Yeah. Doing what we're doing now in the 90s was a whole other experience. Their minds were a lot more closed back then.
Progress,
so it was really,
at least there's progress.
Exactly. So we can see the progress in that in those spaces. So that's really really cool. I think that's one of the biggest learning experiences in this space that I've had. That just like don't judge a book by its cover, even though it's so cliche and it's so something we all know. But like for real, like metalheads, I've had like full because I'm a sneakerhead. I love sneakers. So yeah, if you pay attention, oh my god, if I was to turn, like they're everywhere. I own over 400 pairs. It's nuts.
That's more pairs of. That's.
I have once gone an entire year without wearing the same pair of shoes twice.
That's insane.
I might do that again. That might be a fun social media experiment. Literally just a pair of shoes and just call it a pair of shoes. I'll literally just take a photo or a video of me putting on my pair that I put on in the morning, and that's it. And it's a different pair every day. Imagine I do that 365 times.
You should make 365 pairs of different Oxymoron shoes and see who your biggest fan is and who will collect every single one. Make it a collectible.
That would be lit. Now I just have to figure out how to make shoes.
I forgot that was the most important ingredient.
There's one important part of that ingredient that I am not capable of at all. I could not make a shoe, and if I did, I don't think y'all would want to wear it. I don't think it may look good, but I can 100% say it will not be functional. You won't know what you're doing.
Not functional.
But I do say if I do make a shoe, it won't have laces. It's gonna have straps. That's one of the things I really love.
Oh yeah, I miss straps.
That's the inside. That's the child inside of me. I need to go back to the 3rd grade where you didn't have to tie your shit and just strap it up. That adult Dave is going to make a strap shoe. Remember that.
The creativity is already flowing.
Exactly. I'm like, maybe I can figure out the strap version. I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out for sure. If anyone can, my crazy ass can.
So I had one more question for you. You've just mentioned there very briefly about Pharrell and his film scores. So as well, he's collaborated with Hans Zimmer on 3 separate occasions alone, let alone everything else he's done. If you were to compose a film score, which genre of movie would you most be interested in tackling?
We're going to pause this because you're the greatest ever of all time. Good job. We can end this interview right now because... And I would like to forward all our interviews that we get now to you so you can tell them what to do.
I won't complain about that.
Like, hey, think this out. They know what to do. You don't know what to do. You should totally have a conversation.
Just run it by Jazmin. She'll tell you what to say.
She'll tell you exactly what to say and the questions to ask. She knows what she's talking about. Now you just did your research, which is awesome. In general, if I were to do that, it would absolutely be a Rob Zombie film, and it would be a horror movie. I am a horror movie fanatic. I love horror movies, and Rob Zombie's literally my favorite. So yeah, I have a direct answer to that. Like, yeah, it would be absolutely be a horror movie. I don't know what it would do, what the theme of the movie would be, but I know the music would be lit. Like, it would go. Oh my god, yeah. I should try to score a horror movie.
Yeah, you could. You could make an Oxymorrons horror movie.
Now, if this comes out, you'll know where it came from.
I was like, oh, I'm talking about this.
They dropping a horror movie in 2025? Oh, that's exactly what we smoked about.
So, going back to Rob Zombie and that you would want to score music for a Rob Zombie movie, have you thought about, like, what you would want the narrative to be?
That's the hard part. I'm not, because it would totally be a horror movie, but my thing is, what type of story? See, because there's so many ways I can go about this. Do we have, is it psycho murderer? Is it psycho murderer family? Is this, are you educated or not? Is it slow? Is it male or female? Male or female is big for me because I really, I like to spin it on female. I always juxtapose a lot of things like that, like the female perspective of something that has been only shown as a predominant male state. Like, one of the things I'm enjoying right now is watching on Netflix. I'm watching Griselda. In Griselda, she's like the greatest cult dealer of all time. Pablo Escobar said the only man he ever feared in his entire life was a woman, and it was Griselda. And she's true. It's a true story. Yeah.
I love that quote.
I was like, only man I've ever felt in my life was a woman called Griselda. I was like, Pablo. And coming from your mouth, she's dangerous. If that man is scared of you, Pablo Escobar is scared of you, that you're dangerous. So I've been watching her. Yeah. And so I do that all the time. Like, even like if you listen to the album, we have a song on the album called Rhea. And it's with Canner sings on it. And she also co-wrote it, so she's awesome. We in hip hop all the time. There's the stories of drug dealing, whatever. So embodied in culture, and we always tell the story of the drug dealer. So the dude, blah, blah, blah. I heard that story a million times. So we were going to tell that story, right? And I was like, what if we frame this entire story as a woman drug dealer? And I was like, what is that perspective? And that's why it's like, even when we up, she goes, the words are, I know just what you want from me. No control. I want you to get what you need from me. Nah. That's what she's saying that, because she's talking about she's the dealer and you're the addict.
Yeah.
So that's the
it's a need, that's not a want.
That's the whole thing we show. And if you listen to the words of the song, we're not speaking from the male perspective. It's the female perspective. And we say, like, that's the whole point. When people hear that about the song, they hear the song differently. And we go, yes, all of our songs have meaning. Like, everything is telling you something. And I remember being in the studio and going, yeah, that's awesome. That's cool. Like, we broke a lot of boundaries on this record, of just like kind of like I just want to do things differently.
Yeah.
And even in the newer things that we're working on now, from songs to imagery to everything, it's giving the same way we were given a voice to speak when we didn't have one. Our music, the platform we're building, I'd like to have that platform be able to do the similar thing. That's why we put like Troy Irons, when he's going through his transition, on the project, and like that. The project means so much to me. It's our first album, it's our first LP, but everything that encompasses the entire band, like who we are as people, is on that project. And it is in our music, and it's not that Mohawks and do-rags wasn't that. Mohawks and do-rags was that with parameters, because we had to make an EP, so it had to be smaller and it had to be like more precise. So it's like that's just that on steroids. So it's kind of like those kind of things. I think we'll really win in those spaces. So I really love to be in that space when we create.
I love that. Well, that was my last question. I'm gonna let you get on with the rest of your day now. I need to have
my dad. Yes. Oh my God. See, and I'm over here like I'm about to have lunch. This is how much our days are different. Well, listen, it's good afternoon for me and good evening for you.
That is very true. But thank you so much for jumping on this interview with me. It has been phenomenal to chat with you. And thank you for opening my mind up as well to an artist I'd heard of, but I wouldn't have taken the time to go and listen by myself, which is one of the reasons I love doing these interviews. So
because you catch on. Thank you. Thank you. This has been great. Thank you for great questions, great personality. Everything about this was spot on.
Thank you for listening to I'm Your Biggest Fan. If you enjoyed what you heard, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, send it to your nan in the post. Every little helps. You can follow us everywhere at biggestfan_pod. Follow me everywhere at Wrathchild_jazz. Noizze at Noizze UK on everything. Noizze Podcast Network at Noizze Podcast Network on everything. And Satanic Tico at Satanic Tico and at Pitch Black Nor. If you have a band member in mind that you think would be perfect for this podcast, perfect for this topic of conversation, or maybe you are the band member and you're the super fan, drop us a comment, drop us an email. All other info can be found below in the description. And thanks again for listening. We'll catch you soon.